What's up, ghostreport? Happy Thursday. It would have been good that I put the camera on, like stupid me, but oh well, that happens. What's up, Tammy, Wendy, Invisible Rose, Nikki, Bella? How's everyone doing this fine Thursday evening or Friday morning, depending on where you are in the world? How is everyone doing? What's up, Lisa Boo? Julissa, Wendy. How's everyone doing today? Anyone do anything interesting? I've been watching, I don't know, I have a new thing that I've been watching. I found a bunch of horror shorts on YouTube. So I've been watching those. Lisa Bugo's Project Metal Music says, A up, Project Metal Music. I know you are here in spirit because of the time change. I've been watching horror shorts on YouTube, and they're usually around Bernadette, what's up? And they're usually around what, like 10 minutes long, if that. They're actually kind of good. Like, I've been obsessed with those. I've watched a few. I think my favorite one, there was one that's called Don't Look Away. That one was crazy. So if you ever get a chance, Joanne, what's up? Wendy goes, my migraine yesterday kicked my butt. I know what you mean, Wendy. I've had a headache off and on the last 2 days. It sucks having a headache. But if you guys have a chance, check out some of those horror shorts. They're kind of cool here on YouTube. And then I finally got a chance to catch Maxine. That trailer looks amazing. I cannot wait for that to come out. Takes place during Los Angeles in 1985. So that was about the time Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, was around. So they do mention it in the trailer. So looks pretty exciting. I cannot wait. I really did enjoy the last two Ty West films, which were X and Pearl. I preferred Pearl. I liked Pearl better than X, so I'm looking forward to Maxine. And caught the Joker Electric Boogaloo Part the looks amazing. Lady Gaga looks amazing. I've always been a fan of Lady Gaga, so I was always looking forward to that. Still a little hesitant with the musical part of it, but I think they're going to do a great job at it. What's up, Gunner Girl? How's it going? I'm going to wait a few more minutes for people to trickle in before I start my topics. Melissa, what's up? Melissa didn't get a second notification. Pesky YouTube. You know how YouTube can be pesky. What else did I see? They dropped a new trailer. Forgot what it's called. Forgot what that trailer was called. Oh, I saw the trailer for Baghead, which I saw. I think it was on it was a Shudder thing. That looks interesting. I want to catch that. I think it's out already. Bernadette goes, I think Gaga's going to be a part of Joker's imagination. I do too. I agree, but she looks amazing in it of what I've seen in the trailer. Dusty, what's up? There was another trailer I saw. It's gonna kick my butt if I don't remember it. They just released it too, I think yesterday. If anyone is familiar, CinemaCon is on this week, so they've been releasing some horror news. They did announce, unfortunately, Saw 11 has been pushed. It was supposed to come out this year, but they pushed it to 2025. I'm not sure what the reasonings are. Probably because they wanna make it great, so I'm hoping that's the reason and not something else. Lisa Boo goes, "There is a preview of Monarch: Legacy of the Monster Season 2." Julius goes, "Lady Gaga looks great, but the trailer was not the greatest. I hope the movie is better." I like Julius, I like the trailer. I like the trailer. And I'm not like a super fan, like Lewis from Nerd Report's a huger fan of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. I'm not like 100%. I'm not like this huge fan of it, but I thought the trailer looked amazing. I'm a fan of Joaquin Phoenix though. So thank you, Melissa Smith, for gifting 1 membership. Part 2. Dusty, and welcome Dusty to the Wolf Pack. So hearts for Dusty and Melissa. Hold on, I got a little thing for that. Hold on. Oh, remember how I have a fascination with twerking ghosts? Before we get, I don't have that ability to get skeletons to twerk, but I mean, this is the that's as close as I can get to skeletons twerking. So if you guys donate, I will be showing the skeletons twerking. If you know, you know. And as always, Skeleduck, which there's a picture of him in the upper right hand corner. He is in this background somewhere. And just remind me, I will reveal his location at the end of the stream. Decided to take a picture of him because I get a lot of people asking me what he looks like. Nothing Burger! Thank you for your super sticker! Hearts for Nothing Burger! Hold on! The skeletons froze mid twerk. I apologize for that. It's probably my computer, but oh well. Hearts for Nothing Burger, Heather Salvatore, Tor. The million names of Heather Salvatore. But for anyone that donates, we're gonna play the twerking skeletons. Hopefully my computer can handle the twerking skeletons, but we'll see what happens. Heather, whatever, what is up? Jen, thank you for your super sticker of the fitness pair. Here comes the twerking skeleton. Skeletons are freezing for some odd reason, but there you go. I don't know why. They're freezing a bit on my end. It's probably because I had my computer on all day. Probably should have turned it off. That's my fault, but oh well. Thank you, Jen Decker. Hearts for Jen Decker. Wendy is asking if you change your name here on YouTube, how long does it stick? I don't know how she gets unlimited name changes, but I know D Nice said 14 days for her. So I'm not sure Heather Salvatore has the magic trick to change. Heather, whatever goes, too bad you can't play Princes. I would die for you. Bernadette! Thank you for your super chat. Hearts for Bernadette. And she goes, Naked Ghosts. All right, they're freezing. That's all right. They're still kind of twerk. They're getting their thing on. Thank you, Bernadette. Hearts for Bernadette, guys. Heather, whatever goes dead man's party. I wish I could use those, but you can't. Unfortunately, here on YouTube, they like to. Nothing Burger goes, I pay for YouTube, so I don't have commercials. So I guess that is what it must be. Maybe, I don't know. I kind of just I keep my screen name, so I don't know. I've never tried changing. I think I changed it once. Wendy goes, I'm gonna try. Just as a rule of thumb, Wendy, it might be 14 days. So just an FYI. Just if you do pick something, make sure it's something you don't mind having for a while. What's up, Matthew? Matthew was messing with his Luke's lightsaber. I'm glad it's working for you, Matthew. I'm trying to think of that before I get into my topics. I'll wait a few more minutes. For let's see. I forgot the name of it. It had what's his name from give me a second, guys. Cuz now it's going to kill me. Give me a second. See if I can find it cuz it's going to bug me until I find it. Like it literally Speak No Evil with James McAvoy. That trailer dropped. I noticed that it dropped yesterday. Looked like a pretty cool movie. That's going to drive me nuts. Speak No Evil. I knew it was something like Speak something, but I just couldn't remember. And then also they announced Blumhouse is teaming up with Lionsgate for a brand new Blair Witch Project movie. I don't know how I feel about this one. 25 years after the release of the original genre-changing classic, we'll show it. It is from Bloody Disgusting. I'm going to start off with a little movie news. The original genre-changing classic Lionsgate and Blumhouse announced out of CinemaCon today, which I believe was yesterday, that they will partner on the development and production of the new Blair Witch Project movie as the first film in a multi-picture pack with Blumhouse reimagining horror classics from the Lionsgate library. I do not know how I feel about this. The announcement was made today by Adam Fogelson, Chair Lionsgate Motion Picture Group, and Jason Blum, founder and CEO of Blumhouse. Based at Universal Pictures, where it has a first look deal, Blumhouse is the gold standard in the horror space, generating blockbuster results from a string of modestly budgeted films, including the Paranormal Activity franchise, Insidious, The Purge, Sinister, Halloween. Don't remind me about Halloween. Five Nights at Freddy, and Megan, along with award winners Get Out and Black Klansman. Blumhouse films have grossed nearly $6 billion at the worldwide box office. Blum will team with producer Roy Lee on the new Blair Witch Project movie. Lee previously produced Wendy! Thank you for the super sticker! Hearts for Wendy! Let me get the ghost that don't twerk. and my computer won't allow them to twerk. They will the next time, I promise. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate it. Hearts for Wendy. Lee previously produced the 2016 film Blair Witch, the most recent installment in the franchise. I've been incredibly fortunate to work with Jason many times over the years. We forged a strong relationship on The Purge when I was at Universal, and we launched STX with his film The Gift. There's no one better at the genre than the team at Blumhouse, said Foolson. We are thrilled to kick this partnership off with a new version of Blair Witch that will reintroduce the horror classic for a new generation. We couldn't be more pleased to be working with them on this and other projects we look forward to revealing soon. I'm very grateful to Adam and the team at Lionsgate for letting us play in the sandbox. I'm a huge admirer of the Blair Witch Project, which brought the idea of found footage horror to mainstream audiences and became a true cultural phenomenon, said Bloom. I think it is the first, if I'm not mistaken, I think Blair Witch Project was the first. It started the found footage movie revolution, if you could say. I don't think there would have been a Paranormal Activity had there not been a Blair Witch. So this feels like a truly special opportunity. I'm excited to see where it leads. Found footage masterpiece, The Blair Witch Project changed the game back in 1999, subsequently spawning its own sprawling universe of media, including official follow-up films in 2000 and 2016, as well as multiple books and video games that have deepened the lore. The Blair Witch Project was created by filmmakers Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez. Guys, what do you feel about a revamped Blair Witch Project? I am a little I don't know how I feel about it yet. I'm kind of speechless at the moment with this one. What? Thank you, Melissa Smith, Grayson Nerd Rando, for the super sticker hearts for Melissa. Bernadette's like, pass. I don't know how I feel about this one yet. I'm kind of. I was like, why are you gonna mess with Blair Witch? Why? I know Blumhouse is known for like the low budget type of horror films, but still, it's like, why are they gonna mess with it? Matthew didn't care about the first one. Jen didn't like the first one, too chaotic. The one thing I remember about the first film is that the very end of the movie, the guy standing in the corner and then the camera drops. That scene right there gives me chills. Melissa Smith goes, the first was scary because we thought it was real. Now we won't have that same fear. True. Very true. I think that's the reason why I found it fascinating, because at the time too, I thought it was real too, and I was like, probably like. Joanne goes, the first one was boring. Gunner Girl goes, not for me either. Bernadette goes, make a horror film about J-Lo trying to sing. Oh my god. Bernadette, she has like so many freaking bio, whatever the heck you call, about herself, like on Netflix, and I'm like, nah. Dusty goes, I think a remake would lose its unique quality of the original. I agree with you, Dusty. Heather Whatever goes, good scene, commenting about the ending scene of Blair Witch. I didn't realize that movie came out in 1999, according to the article. Feels like I felt like it came out before then. Matthew goes, Sci-Fi Channel tried to make it sound real, but knew it wasn't. They had some hour-long thing about it. And I feel like you're kind of messing with a film that started like I guess you could say a genre kind of, because it did start that found footage, um I don't know how to say it, revolution in a way, because it brought us Paranormal Activity. um I never found Paranormal Activity scary. The only part that I found scary about, I always liked them though, but the only part I found scary was like the panning of the camera, because I was always waiting for something to pop up. Like, you know how the camera would pan this way, and then you're like, okay, there's nothing there, it pans this way. Then it goes back and you see someone standing in the corner like this. But it never was something like that. I was always expecting like something standing in the corner or something. But Bernadette goes, yeah, but Mariah Carey could destroy her in that movie. Melissa Smith, we need a weekend at OJ's movie. Because a certain person passed away today. I'm not sure if you heard. He did. Um, I was reading because the news posted all over, and I was reading the comments about OJ Simpson passing, and I went to the comments. I'm kind of like that. I'll look at the article, and then I'll look at the comments. Oh my gosh, the comments are crazy. Um, I'm not sure if you guys saw any crazy comments, but I saw some crazy comments that I am not going to repeat here. Wendy goes, jump scares get me every time. Heather, whatever goes, but I think JLo is pretty. Just watched her dance in The Living Color. However, if Prince thought she was pretty, he would have dated her. He could pick him. True. 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 Lisa run into the comments as Melissa says, yep, that's what I do. I'm not kidding you. Wendy goes, time to meet your maker, OG, a special place for you. Oh, yes, Wendy. There was a lot of that. There was a lot of that. There was a lot of burning. There was a lot of yeah. I have never in my life have seen any, but like usually, you know, when someone passes away, we're like, oh my God. I have never seen, but I understand because of what he did. I understand. Though he was acquitted of it, but we all know. We all know. Come on. Julissa goes, he won't be missed. Nope. He won't. Heather, whatever goes, I heard OJ and those associates with him crossed our paths in two of my marriages for OJ. Yep, no BSing in heaven. Jen Decker goes, my son said OJ can rest easily knowing it's his wife's killer is dead. Melissa Smith goes, if you pretend the glove doesn't fit, we will pretend to quit. I remember watching that trial in high school. I think I was in my last year of high school when that was going on, and I remember watching it. One of my teachers actually televised it for us. Matthew's also saying, just saw this from Fangoria, there will be a scary movie reboot. They're doing a lot of reboots. I noticed, like, they're going back to older movies and remaking them or reimagining them or prequeling them. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like, uh, there should be more originality to some horror films. I get what they're doing. They're trying to bring older films to the newer generations, but at the same time, don't mess with the older films. The films in the 80s are better than some of the films nowadays. Please do not mess with them. Heather Whatever goes, I watched the trial while bed rest with my second pregnancy. That was scary in LA. Wendy goes, keep in mind who the attorney was. Oh, I am. Bernadette goes, Monster Squad classic. Definitely. Wendy goes, leave the OGs alone. I agree. Do not mess with the originals. Real quick before, I know I keep saying this, before I get into uh the main topic here. Let me look for it. Give me a second, guys. I'm super Mad Monster in Arizona is getting closer by the minute, and I'm super excited. What reminded me is I'm wearing my famous monster shirt. Um I am super excited. I just saw let me see if I can get there. Give me a second, guys. Cuz I wasn't planning on talking about this, but I decided to kilter. All right, I am super excited for Mad Monster. I know some of you are as well. Nothing Burger goes like Disney. Stop with the remakes, make new stuff. I agree. Heather, whatever goes, they don't need to constantly remake. Movies need to be new and fresh, but a good vampire movie is in order. I agree with you on that one too. Matthew goes, I would actually want it just to see what films they would parody now. Maybe do that to the last Halloween movie. Oh, don't go get me started on that. The Blumhouse Halloween. Don't. Bernadette goes, is Lewis gonna wear his yellow bikini at Mad Monster? But I noticed yesterday that they announced some new guests, and I am super excited. It's what, 3 months away here? It is in Phoenix, Arizona. A lot of us will be going. It is on the weekend of July 12th through 14th. Um, I just noticed that they had added a lot more guests. Um, they're having, before I get into the main topic, they're having Christine Elise from Child's Play. They're having David Elfsum, bassist of Megadeth. Ken Forey, he's usually always there. He's like a main staple at Mad Monster. John Glover from Smallville, he played Lex Luthor's dad. If you're a fan of Smallville. Jamie Kennedy, he was in Scream. Matthew Lillard, he's usually there. He was there last year. He was also in Scream, and he was in Scooby Doo. Rose McGowan is going to be there. The Osbournes. Jason Patrick from The Lost Boys. Stephen Percy, the voice of Rat or Rate. Sorry, I suck at these because these are the bands I know, guys. I didn't listen to these guys growing up. I know of them, but I didn't listen to them. Lou Diamond Phillips and Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor in Smallville. So I saw that yesterday. I got even more excited. And I know they're gonna probably add a few more as the weeks go by. Gooder Girl goes, I can't wait. Jen Decker goes, lots of new guests. Logical Spock! What is up? I got super excited because I saw Michael Rosenbaum from Small. I'm not a Smallville fan, but I thought he was cool, so it'd be cool to see him walking around. Bernadette goes, oh, quackers, Lou Diamond Phillips, don't tell Brandon. That too, Lou Diamond Phillips, I grew up watching in films. So it's gonna be crazy to see him walking around. I'm gonna be like, I don't really get starstruck though, but it's gonna be cool, like, because the way Mad Monster is, it's not like a huge, it's like a Comic-Con, but it's like the setup kind of is like kind of like a Comic-Con, but it's not, it's more intimate. And that's what I like about it. And I always have a blast every time I go. You could be sitting at the table and freaking like what the last year we were going out the door and Richard Blake was coming through the door. And he's like a main staple in Rob Zombie's movies. Robert Englund was sitting at the bar just chilling. What's his face? I can't think. He's always there though. The guy that plays Jason, I can't think. I'm having a brain fart, but he's always there. Like he'll punch you when he sees you. It's not a hard punch, but he punches you. Just to see them just walking around, or Lance Henriksen getting a cup of coffee, literally. You'll be just walking down and you'll see them. Or how Bernadette was in the elevator and Robert Englund happened to be there. You know, it's cool. It is awesome. Dusty goes, I think I see the ducky's eyeballs. Just for anyone that doesn't know what Skeleduck looks like, he is a picture of Skeleduck is in the upper right hand corner. Just for those who do not know what he looks like, and he is in this background somewhere. Just remind me, and I will remind you. I will reveal his location at the end of this stream. Bernadette goes, yes, he was so nice and smelled good. And then the hotel it's at, it's a really nice hotel. I just don't like the weather during that time. And you all know I'm going to Dutch Brothers. It's weird because I have a Dutch Brothers that coffee that's probably about 30 minutes from me, but I never go. The only time I ever go is when I'm in Arizona. I go every day until I leave, and I get my Dutch Brothers fix. Delay Lux, what is up? Matthew goes, awesome, Lou Diamond Phillips. A few interactions with him online. He was in Stargate Universe. There was an outtake of him saying ping pong balls, not King Kong balls. Bernadette goes, I gave up looking for that pinche duck. Julissa goes, it's your Arizona treat. It is. It is. It's the one thing I look forward to every year. is getting my Dutch Brothers coffee fix. Because I honestly like it better than Starbucks. But unfortunately, in the city I live in, every corner has a Starbucks. Or a coffee bean. All right, I was Googling ghost in the news, and the topic seems to be this. Seems to be all over the news. It's a little true crime-ish, but Bernadette goes, I think I'll get a tattoo this year. The funny thing is, Bernadette, every time I see them, I was like, I kind of want one, like a horror one, because I don't have a horror one. But I haven't gotten a tattoo in over, it's been a while. I do want to get a memorial tattoo of my parents. I just haven't figured. I have the idea. I just don't know. I have the idea in my head of what I want. I just don't know where to go to. But that is like my plan for my next tattoo. But Bernadette, I have thought of that. They do at Mad Monster have people doing tattoos. That is what makes it unique, because you don't really go to a convention unless it's a tattoo convention. But you don't normally go to a convention and there's people doing tattoos. So that's kind of cool. Bernadette goes, let's do it, Lisa. I should. I should get a Jason mask or something. That would be cool. Julissa goes, I love Coffee Bean. We don't have many up here. I do, Julissa. I do have a Coffee Bean down the street from me. So that's usually where I go. Well, I usually just make coffee at home nowadays, but if I want to like an extra fix, I'll go to Coffee Bean or Starbucks. But when I was Googling, as I was saying, ghost in the news, this popped up. It's a little more, I want to say it's true crime-ish. This is from Business Insider. It goes, a woman found dead in a church with no blood in her body may have been a TikToker hunting for ghosts, police say. A French woman embarked on a day trip to northern Italy for what appears to have been a ghost hunting trip. She never made it home. The body of the unnamed woman, 22, was found over the weekend in an abandoned church where she had been stabbed to death and drained of blood, according to CNN report. Now investigators are trying to figure out if she was a TikToker who was part of a ghost hunting stunt, or if her death was something more sinister, such as a consented sacrificial death. The woman had traveled from her hometown near Lyon, France, to La Salle in Aosta Valley, Italy, and had informed her family of plans to find a haunted house believed to contain ghosts, police told the outlet. The journey to the Italian town is estimated to take just over 1 hour from Lyon when driving, according to a Google Map estimate. Witnesses in the town interviewed by police, and they had noticed the woman was accompanied by a man hours before her death. Both had been dressed up as vampires, CNN reported, which kind of goes with the topic. One witness described the woman as emaciated and looked like a walking corpse, while the man was described as having dark hair and olive skin, the outlet added. A camping knife had been used to stab the woman, causing her to bleed to death, the report said. She also had 2 pew-pew wounds on her neck and 1 on her abdomen, which police told CNN may have been inflicted after she was already dead. There was no sign of struggle, CNN reported, though police noted that some of the blood from the floor had been removed when they arrived to inspect the scene. Police are still searching for the man who was with her, the outlet added. One theory that investigators are considering is that the woman's death was a result of a consented murder or a sacrifice, the publication said. The woman also may have been taking part in a ghost hunting challenge that's popular among TikTok users in France, police said. I was trying, because I was curious as to what this ghost hunting challenge on TikTok was, but I Google searched it and I could not find anything. Like, it kept coming back to this article or this woman. Though the details of this particular challenge were not shared in the CNN article, it's worth noting that ghost hunting is a popular search term on TikTok. The U.S. in particular has seen a rise in haunted tourism in recent years as historic buildings cash in on the ghost hunting phenomenon, according to a 2001 Bloomberg article. I am very skeptical when it comes to videos on TikTok. I really am. And I feel bad for those people that are actually experiencing something, because I am going to be skeptical when it comes to that. While the role of a TikTok stunt in the death has not yet been established, the platform has long been criticized for putting people in real life danger, which is true because they've had different TikTok challenges throughout the years. For instance, TikTok faced mass criticism in 2020 for promoting the random nodding challenge, which encouraged users to download a separate app that would use their location to take them on adventures. One group who participated discovered a suitcase with human remains. Good to know, reported at the time. Then in 2022, the blackout challenge resulted in the deaths of multiple users who attempted to choke themselves into unconsciousness. I've heard of that. I've never heard of the random nodding one, but I'm not really a TikToker. I just kind of I'm like the casual TikToker. I kind of go on there every once in a while. I've heard of the blackout challenge. It did make news. Um, but my thing is, even if I saw people doing this, I wouldn't do it myself. So, but it is sad to what happened to some of the people that actually did these challenges. At the time, a TikTok spokesperson told the Washington Post that the disturbing challenge, which people seem to learn about from sources other than TikTok, long predates our platform and has never been a TikTok trend. Representatives of TikTok, the town of LaSalle, and local police did not immediately respond to a request for comment from business insiders. Guys, I'm still trying to figure out what TikTok ghost hunting challenge and that's popular in France is. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of it. I cannot find anything on it when I did a Google search. But this article is kind of scary because before she was found dead, she looked emaciated. That is scary. Burr! Lisa and Bernadette, so cool. D nice. What is up? D nice goes, I haven't heard of it. Bernadette goes, nope, I haven't heard, because I'm curious as to, because they mention it in the article, but they don't explain what it is. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, we think she came here because of a ghost hunting TikTok challenge. I'm like, well, what is it? Not all of us know what it is. Like, I'm curious as to what it is. And then they also think that it was voluntary. Like she sacrificed herself or something. I don't know if it was voluntary, but Tyrano, what's up? Thanks, Gunner Girl, for dropping by. Lisa and Bernadette are so cool, aka D Nice. Thank you for being a member of the Wolfpack for 1 year. Hearts for D Nice, and she goes 2 weeks in the Total Recall voice. Hearts for D Nice, guys. Let me get her the twerking skeletons. Hold on. But this article is kind of it's kind of scary. They're still looking for the guy that she was with, and they were dressed as vampires. And the fact that this article, there was another article that said that she looked pale and emaciated. This one did not say the pale part, but that makes me wonder. And then they said she was bloodless. So, yeah. It is sad what happened to her. Um, but I am still, if anyone out there in YouTube land knows about the popular ghost hunting TikTok challenge that's popular in France, please comment below. I am curious to know. Melissa goes, we never did random nodding because they tracked you. Wow. I mean, that sounds fun, but I wouldn't download another app for it. I would just probably do it on my own. Melissa Smith goes, no one is in the US is doing it anymore. I don't think so. I haven't heard anything about TikTok challenges or anything lately in the news, which is good. It almost sounds like in that previous in that article with the woman, it sounded like she because they said she was pale and emaciated, it sounds like vampires to me. That's all, and they were dressed up as vampires. So that's kind of what the creepy thing about it is. It's eerie. And as always, if you guys have an interesting article, video, um, could be spooky related, UFO related, unexplained, please email graysonreport13@gmail.com. And I may share it on my next live streams. I do see all your messages. I know I got one from Allison Rose. I also get a few from Eastern Arkansas Transparency about UFOs, so I do get them. Uh, or you can also drop it at my socials too as well. I do look at those too. Melissa goes, I heard Pokemon could track you, but they probably improved that vulnerability. I played the Pokemon game for just for a bit and then I stopped. Wendy goes, I'm afraid to put experiences to words. It confirms it's real in my life. I love ghost stories. So if you guys have any cool ghost stories, please, or a cool article, please, again, D Nice has dropped, or Lisa and Bernadette are so cool has dropped it in the chat. It's graysonreport13@gmail.com. Melissa goes, but whatever was going on with the Pokemon Go, the DOD did not allow it on the property. The government knows stuff we don't. Bernadette goes, if you've seen the trend on TikTok, then you know what this is about. But if not, I'll tell you, around Halloween, people dressed up as ghosts using bed sheets and fun sunglasses and created short videos with their images, often set to the song Oklahoma by Jack Stauber, January 5th, 2023. I did not see, well, I'm a very relaxed TikTok user. I'm not I go on there every once in a while just to see something. I just kind of scroll every once in a while. I pretty much look at the shorts on Instagram or YouTube kind of. I'm more of a short person there than looking at shorts on those platforms than I am on TikTok. Thank you, Heather, whatever, for your PayPal. You're great. Hope this doesn't bounce. Hearts for Heather, whatever, guys. Thank you for the support, Heather, whatever. You are awesome. Thank you, Heather, whatever. Delay Lex goes, the Skinwalker Ranch is a Fear Factor deal. They're mainly hillbilly scares who had mixed with aliens. All right, the next article, which is our main topic. I know I've spoke about vampires before, but I do find them fascinating, even though I'm more of a werewolf person. but I do find vampires fascinating. I think they are just awesome creatures in the films. This one is from All That's Interesting, and it is a new article that dropped, I believe, yesterday, and it's inside the bloody history of vampires from ruthless rulers to medical mysteries. And I also have an article of real life vampires who actually existed. So this is gonna be, let me pull the chat because my computer is acting weird. So hopefully the studio ghost does not mess with my feed. Melissa Smith goes, Jacob is my favorite werewolf. He was a cool werewolf because he had red. He kind of had a red color to his fur. Delea Lex goes, Appalachian humanoid hybrids. Wendy goes, the folklore of vampires are so cool. They are. And it goes, one of history's most famous and bloodthirsty legendary creatures, vampires have terrified human beings for centuries. In 1892, a group of frightened villagers in Exeter, Rhode Island, gathered at the town's graveyard with shovels and a grim task. Slowly but surely, they began to dig up the fresh soil that covered the grave of 19-year-old Mercy Brown. Brown had died about 2 months earlier, but there was something about her death that unsettled the townspeople. They'd come to believe that she was a vampire, intent on draining the life from her sick brother. Brown was allegedly found in her grave with a lifelike flesh in her cheeks. The villagers, convinced they had a vampire on their hands, burned her heart and liver. They then had her brother consume the ashes. He died anyways, probably because of tuberculosis, like Mercy, his mother, and other sister. Their exhumation of Mercy Brown may sound excessive and dramatic today, but the villagers of Exeter belong to a long history of people fearing vampires. Fanged and bloodthirsty, these supernatural creatures have stalked the darkest corners of human imagination for centuries. So where did the idea of vampires come from? How has it developed over the years? And have real vampires ever existed in history? Bernadette goes, I always wanted to dress like Queen Akasha from Queen of the Damned. Do it, Bernadette. That would be awesome. The vampire monsters of the ancient world. For as long as humans have been afraid of the dark, they've been afraid of the unseen monsters that may lurk there. I think it's just being afraid of the unknown. Some people have not necessarily the unseen monsters that may lurk there. And the history of vampires is an age-old one. Many ancient cultures have vampiric-like monsters in their mythology, though they differ from the modern-day legends. In Mesopotamia, people feared creatures called ikumu, which could drain someone's life force. Meanwhile, ancient Egyptian mythology described how Sekhmet, the daughter of the sun god Ra, had an insatiable thirst for human blood. And Jewish folklore described how Lilith, believed by some to be the first wife of Adam, feeds on her victims. Some stories suggest Lilith is responsible for men's erotic dreams and she causes them to emit seed. So, hold on. So, Lilith is responsible. My mind is going down the gutter. I don't care about this one. Lilith is responsible for men's erotic, what did it say? Dreams? It causes them to emit seed. Sorry. I had to point that one out. I know I'm not the only one where my mind is going down the gutter. I know I'm not the only one. Come on. At least I'm admitting it. Creatures like these had one thing in common. They drained something vital from humans. Whether life force, blood, or seed, these ancient spirits were vampiric in how they interacted with the living. But our modern conception of vampires are fanged, sunlit, avoiding bloodsuckers come much later. Lisa and Bernadette are so cool, or say my mind is already there. Bernadette goes, okay, stripper ghost. The vampiri terrorizing suburban villagers. Modern day ideas about vampires began to take form in the Middle Ages. As PBS reports, the first written reference to a vampire can be traced to an old Russian text written in 1047, which describes monsters called oop appear or upir. The term vampire, however, didn't appear until centuries later in 1725. That year, frightened villagers in Kisel Hevo, located in present-day Serbia, appealed to health and safety officials called the Cameral Provisor for help. They believed that a dead man named Peter Blagojevic was responsible for spreading disease and death throughout their village. Not only had his widow claimed that she'd seen him, but 9 other villagers also insisted that he'd laid himself upon them and throttled them during the night. Again, get your mind out of the gutter. About 24 hours later, they all died. Bernadette goes, I thought you were going to say Oompa Loompas. The provisor, a man named Frumbald, wrote to his superiors that the villagers knew exactly what they were dealing with. A vampiri, the Serbian word for back from the dead. Frumbald himself conducted the autopsy and found that Blakojevic corpse seemed completely fresh and even had fresh blood around his mouth. When the determined villagers drove a stake through Blagojevic's corpse, Frumbald reported that much blood, completely fresh, flowed out of the dead man's body. It's if he had, there's gonna be blood if it was a recent death. If it was recent. News of Frumbald's report and others like it quickly spread. Wendy goes, mind is in the French drain. Wendy Burrito also says gutter minds can be good. Bernadette goes, you're doing great with the names. Thank you, Bernadette. Today, we know that the Serbians were hardly alone when they took their crusade against a vampire into their own hands. In recent years, archaeologists have uncovered vampire graveyards in Poland, where they found a woman buried with a sickle laid across her neck and a child with a padlock around their ankle, both dating from the 17th century, as well as a mass grave of decapitated vampires from between the 18th and 19th century, with coins in their mouths and bricks weighing them down. Like in the case of Mercy Brown, the villagers of Kiseleho, hold on. Kisilhevo killed the undead Blagojevic to stop him from spreading disease around the village. The villagers in Poland also probably did something similar, though it's possible that some vampires in those cases were merely social outcasts. Indeed, scholars suspect that many of our ideas about vampires today come from a misunderstanding about diseases and how they are spread. Bernadette goes, what is a sickle? Children of the Corn. If you Bernadette, if you've seen Children of the Corn, some of the kids carry. It's like that. I don't. It's in Children of the Corn. If you've seen Children of the Corn, it's that. It's got a handle, and then it curves. Like it has a blade that curves. It's in Children. I've seen it in Children of the Corn. That's why I used it. Lisa and Bernadette are so cool. Are saying in 2004, Van Helsing, Richard Roxburgh as Dracula. I kind of dug that, but mostly watched for Kate Beckinsale because I had the biggest crush on her. She was badass in Underworld. I am sorry. I had to say that. Nothing Burger goes, death carries a sickle. Delayed Lex goes, where do they put a brick in a vampire's mouth when they die? I think what they meant by that is they kind what I got out of that was they tied them down so they couldn't escape, type of thing. Melissa Smith goes, it's like a machete on a stick. Yes. Pretty Dick goes, nope, haven't seen that. But I know what you're talking about now. Wendy goes, another description, the sickle is a Grim Reaper's weapon. Birdie Dick goes, can I tickle your sickle? All right, how the disease formed the modern vampire. In Blagojevic and Brown's cases, vampires were used to explain the spread of disease, but vampires were also used to explain the symptoms of diseases, which in turn became signs of vampirism in many people's eyes. Take rabies. PBS reports that a rabies outbreak in the 18th century Europe dovetailed with the rise of vampire stories. Its symptoms included insomnia and aversion to light, fit in snugly with our modern day ideas of vampires who sleep during the day and prowl at night. Plus, rabies is caused by animal bites, and vampires are known to bite their victims. This reminds me when I used to work nights. I used to say because I was up all night because I was working nights. Never gonna go back to that ever again. But I used to always say I'm out vampire hunting. Chris Barber, glad you're able to make it. Likewise, pellagra, which results from a corn-heavy diet, can cause an aversion to sunlight. Europeans would have been eating more corn than ever before in the 18th century since they finally had widespread access to the North American crop. Similarly, the disorder porphyria can cause blisters on the skin when the victim is exposed to sunlight as well as hallucination. So eating a lot of corn can cause an aversion to sunlight? I did not know that. It's kind of interesting. There's also the plague. Not only did the disease circulate quickly and seemingly inexplicably, causing people to seek explanations and ways to stem its spread, but its victims sometimes had bleeding mouth lesions and tuberculosis, which caused such fear in Mercy Brown's Exeter, caused victims to lose weight, cough up blood, and die a slow death. To some, it might seem that a supernatural force was sucking their life away. Chris is saying I'm making homemade chicken and noodles. That's always the best when you make it homemade. Matthew, I remember seeing that. There was a TV movie from the 90s about kids that got allergic to sunlight. They could not go out in the sun. I do remember that, Matthew. D Dice goes, all right, gonna have some corn listening to corn. Why not? Disease then played a huge role in forming early versions of the vampire myth. Not only did people blame vampires for spreading diseases from the grave, but some scholars believe that the symptoms of disease also became conflated with characteristics of vampires. Of course, all of this might have remained in the realm of obscure legends had vampirism not made its way into best-selling fiction. From Der Vampir to Dracula, as fears about vampires like leaders leaders like Pope Benedict the 14 offered assurances that the monsters were not real. He declared that vampires were fallacious fictions of human fantasy in the mid 18th century, but it was within the realm of fantasy that the vampire legend continued to grow. In the decades after Blakovich's fellow villagers drove a stake through his unbeating heart, vampires started appearing in poetry and prose. German poet Heinrich August Ossenfelder wrote Der Vampir in 1748 about a young woman who is seduced by a vampiric narrator. He was followed by English poets like John Stagg, who wrote The Vampire in 1810, and Lord Byron, who wrote the Giaour in 1813. In 1819, John William Polidori's story, The Vampire, probably the first prose piece about vampires in English, tells the frightening tale of an aristocrat who seduces women and drinks their blood. Honey goes, I have a sun sensitivity. I get tiny little pinprick blisters where the sun hits me, and I get sunburned super easy. Oh, that kind of sucks. You have to kind of stay away from the sun. I mean, I personally don't like the sun, but I like to be out in it. I just cover up, but I like to be out in it as long as I got my hat, because I hate sunburn. And what's up, honey? How's it going? Between 1845 and 1847, vampire stories spread even wider, with Varney the Vampire, a serialized story of penny dreadfuls that described a reluctant vampire named Varney and his misadventures. The series lays down some common vampire tropes, like the vampires have long fangs. Then, in 1897, came Bram Stoker's Dracula. Characters in Stoker's novel describe Dracula as having sharp teeth and an extraordinary parlor, as being cruel looking and boasting a smile that Judas in hell might be proud of. He had superhuman strength, does not have a shadow, and turns people into vampires by sucking their blood. Additionally, he has the power to turn himself into a bat, but Stoker's vampire also had weaknesses like crucifixes and garlic. Depictions of Count Dracula have varied over the years. Some films made him suave and debonair. Others depicted him as terrifying and bloodthirsty. And though Stoker was not the first writer to describe vampires, Dracula has informed many people's ideas of what a vampire looks and acts like. Dracula is, at the end of the day, a fictional character, but they say that art is drawn from life. So, have there been examples of any real vampires? Wendy goes, so happy I'm retired and living in the country. Lisa and Bernadette, so cool. I still have to see Renfield. I haven't seen it yet. Gonna watch Renfield after the stream because of the topic. The real vampires of the world. Do vampires exist? The villagers who dug up Mercy Brown and Peter Blakovich would probably answer with a resounding yes, but the answer really depends on how you define the term vampire. If you're looking for the undead or for people who can turn into bats, then the answer is no. But there have certainly been violent rules and serial killers throughout human history with vampiric tendencies. The most famous example is the violent 15th century Wallachia ruler Vlad the Impaler, who allegedly had a taste for blood, also known as Vlad Dracula. The ruler impaled thousands of his enemies, once wrote a letter bragging about how he and his warriors had killed 23,884 Turks and is thought to have been responsible for the deaths of over 60,000 people. Vlad Dracula also allegedly dipped his bread in blood of his enemies before consuming it. This claim is unsurprisingly difficult to verify, and some believe that Bram Stoker based his character of Dracula on the Wallachian ruler. Scholars have debated the veracity of this in recent years, and National Geographic reports that Stoker drew from many different sources. However, and it seems like to the movie, which is one of my favorite movies, uh, with Gary Oldman playing Dracula, also kind of pulled from this Vlad Dracula, because at the beginning, you do see the impaling on stakes, and you do see him consuming blood. However, it is known fact that Stoker came across the name Dracula while reading a history book. Afterward, he wrote an important note to himself. Voivode, Dracula. Dracula in Wallachian language means devil. Wallachians were accustomed to giving it as a surname to any person who rendered himself conspicuous either by courage, cruel actions, or cunning. Guys, as Wendy says, don't forget to smash that like button. It's a little different in this form. It is the three buttons or three dots in the upper right hand corner. When you get a chance, Bernadette goes, are vampires real? Yes, also known as the IRS. Melissa goes, I had vampire teeth until braces. Heather, whatever goes, Vlad offered a certain fate that were fighting in the area. He did severe stuff trying to scare off invaders. Jen Decker goes, I like Renfield. I still have to catch that. I have to check that one out. Chris Barber will add pharmaceutical companies. I kind of agree with you on that one, Chris Barber. Actually, you know what? I agree with both of you guys. Then there have also been serial killers with decidedly vampiric tendencies. Take Fritz Harman, an early 20th century German serial killer known as the Vampire of Hanover. He earned his nickname because he killed some of his victims by biting through their windpipes, what he called a love bite. Thus, even though vampires may not really be lurking around dark corners, it's true that these creatures have haunted the human imagination since ancient times. Vampiric demons like Lilith first emerged several centuries ago, and medieval fears about death and disease only solidified chilling myths about how the undead could wreak fatal havoc on communities. But it was writers in recent history who helped define the vampire as we know it today. Poetry, Varney the vampire, and of course, Bram Stoker's Dracula formed the familiar blood sucking specter that terrifies audiences in modern times. Today, vampires have taken yet another leap, as movies like Twilight and television shows like True Blood and even What We Do in the Shadows continue to remake the vampire legends anew. What did you think of that article? I don't know about, I mean, I like Twilight, but I don't envision my vampires twinkling in the sunlight. That's just me. But I did like Twilight and I did read the books. I'm not afraid to admit it. It's kind of interesting with that. Never heard of that serial killer either, so that's kind of crazy. Bernadette goes, "Oh, True Blood and What We Do in the Shadows, brilliant." Blah blah blah. Vampire voice. Eeyore's Blues, what's up? Some of my family come over from Transylvania. Must explain why I hate the sun and stay up all night. Nothing wrong with that. Heather Whatever goes, there were people in LA in the 90s calling themselves vampires. I find them fascinating, and I think I always will find them fascinating. There are people I remember seeing something a long time ago where these people were actually practicing, like these were actual people. I don't know what program it was, but it was a long time ago. And these people actually considered themselves vampires. Um, but I don't know. If you had the choice to live forever, would you take it? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I could live for it's kind of like the Highlander where uh where you could see I'm going to use Highlander as an example because in Highlander it actually showed like him living forever, how he would lose his love and watch his loved one grow old and he didn't. So I don't know how I would feel about that. You know what I mean? To watch everyone around you grow old and move on and you're still the same. Like, um, it's kind of how Rosalie would say, I believe her name was Rosalie in Twilight. Um, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Twilight, but there's a scene where she was jealous of Bella because she was pregnant and it was something that she couldn't have. And she would say, like, it's the one thing I've always wanted, but I'm frozen, I'm frozen in time. I can't do that. So it's like I don't know if I would want to be frozen in time. Honey 2800 goes, there is an actual illness that makes people crave blood. Wendy goes, yes and no. Eeyore Blues goes, you're all safe. I'm vegetarian. I am as well. So no one has to worry about me. Heather Whatever goes, I'm going to live forever. Bernadette's asking, have you ever seen that 80s movie Transylvania 5000 with Jeff Goldblum? No, I haven't. Lisa and Bernadette are so cool. Buffy 1992 movie or Buddy TV show? Um, I don't remember the Buddy TV show, so I'm going to have to go with Buffy. Even though I wasn't really a big Buffy fan, but Matthew goes, no, at least Highlander, you could still die. You just don't want the most evil immortal to survive. I do love the Queen song, Who Wants to Live Forever. Me too. Every time. Oh, I do. I do. That song is epic. Melissa goes, how did all the vampires in Twilight have great hair if they can't grow or change? Well, when they died, they had great hair. Or when they were let me rephrase that. When they transformed to the undead, they had great hair. So I guess they kept that characteristic. You're kind of frozen in time. So I'm guessing that could be at Melissa Smith because they had great hair before. Bernadette goes, oh God, I had to put up those movies. I was talking about the Twilight movies because my daughter, Jacob, was her crush, not hating on that. Matthews, oh, it's, what was it? Transylvania 65,000. It with Jeff Goldblum. No, I have not seen it. What's up, NYLA14? Hey everyone, I'm late but listening in. Hope you're all good. Thank you for saying hello in the chat and welcome. Bernadette goes, but I don't consider them real vampires. In Twilight, I mean, they sparkled like a vampire slept with Tinkerbell. I didn't either, but their backstories, the stories of how I think I kind of resonated with it was their backstories of how who they were before they turned. That was kind of intriguing to me. Not the sparkling vampire part. And then who doesn't like vampires and werewolves? Come on. Because whenever they have vampires and werewolves, I'm watching. And the werewolves look cool in Twilight, Eclipse, and Breaking Dawn. Well, they weren't. The werewolves weren't in Twilight. So, Eclipse and Breaking Dawn. And then, oh, Bernadette. Oh my God. When I saw Underworld with the Lycans and the vampires, oh, I went crazy. I love that movie. Like Kate Beckinsale. Oh, she was badass in that movie. And the Lycans look cool. Julissa goes Team Jacob over here. And again, if you guys are lurking, feel free to say hi. I know I say this on every stream, but you guys are welcome to say hi. We do not bite unless you want us to. Melissa Smith goes, it was almost like Stephanie Myers didn't know any real vampires. True. Very true. Matthew goes, Team No Twilight. Oh my God. Lisa Bernadette, so cool. Team Swan Daddy, because he was cute. There is a part in Twilight, where I think it was in Twilight. Was it in Twilight? Where they have to leave and she has to fake getting into a fight with her dad. And he's like, don't go, I just got your back. Like that scene always makes me cry every time I see it. I've seen it a million times, but that scene always makes me cry. NYLA 14 goes, is Thursday a regular night now with Monday and Saturday? Yes, it is. I now go live Mondays, Saturdays, and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It may change depending on if I have something to do, but for the most part, that is the schedule. Chris Barber goes, I can't watch that scene, Lisa. It makes me cry because I love his name was Charlie, right? I loved Charlie. I think out of everything, I liked Bella's dad. I really did. I also found this article about to keep with the vampire theme, real life vampires who actually exist, and it goes 10 notorious real life vampires. It's from Ranker. NYLA goes, great. Sometimes I can only listen into, but love to hear you doing this more. Thank you. I appreciate that. Which, let me see if I can find it. Okay, 10 notorious real life vampires. This article is about 2 years old, or it's going to be 2 years old, I should say. And it starts off, some people in history are notorious for spilling blood in bizarre yet brutal ways. Romanian Prince Vlad the Impaler. There might be some doubles in here from the previous article, but we'll read anyways. May have partly inspired the legend of Dracula, but there are real life offenders who have committed grave and nefarious deeds in order to satisfy an alleged bloodthirst. The most notorious is Elizabeth Bathory, a Hungarian noblewoman and ruthless killer. In fact, Bathory lives in infamy as the most prolific female offender of her kind, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. So great was Bathory's bloodthirst that many believe she bathed in the blood of her victims to attain infinite youth and beauty. In 1614, Bathory passed, having been imprisoned in her castle for her egregious crimes. So it goes on. Elizabeth Bathory. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. I apologize. The Countess of Hungary is thought to have had 600 servant girls dispatched so that she could bathe in their blood. Believing that this practice would preserve her youth, she was later apprehended and tried, then punished by being walled up in her room with only a slit of slipping food and water in. Bathory passed in her castle after only 4 years of imprisonment. Nothing Burger goes, she did it for youth. Bernadette goes, all I know is I could wash my clothes on Jacob's abs. Melissa goes, Billy and Charlie has a great friendship. They do. Chris Barber goes, I like Jacob's dad, Billy. I love me some Indians. Honey, 2800 going, she was a sadist. She enjoyed others' pain. And it's weird when you hear a female, because there's not that many of them, but it's weird to have heard of a female offender, I guess you could say, even back then. So the next one is Peter Curtin, the infamous vampire of Dusseldorf. Curtin, or Curtin, is said to have committed a series of slayings from 1929 to 1930, ranging from young girls to older women. He claimed to have drunk the blood of at least one of his victims. He was apprehended in 1930 and guillotined in 1931. Bernadette goes, oh, that was the one I was going to send you. Fritz Harman, the vampire of Hanover, is thought to have dispatched 27 boys, luring them to his apartment and biting their necks. Harman was actually a police informant prior to his apprehension. He was guillotined in 1925. It's weird to hear guillotined. Joseph Vacher. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, is dubbed the French Ripper. So Vacher, in comparison to Jack the Ripper of London, a drifter with a trademark appearance of rabbit fur hat and an accordion, Vacher would terminate at least 11 people, many of them young shepherds in the field. He was caught after unsuccessfully going after a woman who fought back and called out to people nearby for help. Vaquer was apprehended and guillotined on New Year's Eve, 1898. Neville Heath. Neville Heath was a man known to frequently commit fraud. In London in 1946, he had been faking his identity, claiming that he was a lieutenant colonel. He then dispatched and drank the blood of 2 women using this guise. Heath, aka the Lady Killer, was apprehended in 1946 and sentenced to receive capital punishment. Andre Chikatilo. Chikatilo. Andre Chikatilo, known as the Red Ripper, was an infamous offender from the USSR. Chikatilo is thought to have mutilated and terminated at least 52 women and children from 1978 to 1990. I'm assuming it had something, because some of these don't say, like, I know some of them I can kind of see why they have vampiric tendencies, but some of them it doesn't really go in depth. Vincenzo Verzenni operated in Italy in the 1870s, where he dispatched 2 people in order to drink their blood. It is believed that he could have had at least 10 additional victims. He was apprehended in 1873 and sentenced to life in prison. Chris Barber has heard of the Russian dude? Richard Trenton Chase, the vampire of Sacramento, terminated and drank the blood of 6 people between 1977 and 1980. He had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. He claimed that the Nazis were ending him slowly and he had to drink blood to sustain himself. I have never heard of any of these people. Alan Menzies. In 2002, Scotsman Alan Menzies believed he was ordered by Akasha, the vampire in the Anne Rice fictional work Queen of the Damned, to dispatch his best friend, 21-year-old Thomas McKendrick, and drink his blood. Menzies was convicted but passed 2 years later while in prison. Fart stinkers and maybe a turtle head. Can you guess what a turtle head is? I'm not sure if I want to. Melissa Smith goes, Richard Trenton car chase would be most LA name ever. Marcelo Costa de Andrade. Marcelo Costa de Andrade, known as the vampire of Nitero, believed he needed to drink blood to keep young and beautiful. To do this, he dispatched at least 14 boys in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, before his conviction in 1991. He was declared mentally ill and sentenced to life in a psychiatric facility. So those are a little bit of real life vampires, as they say, but it's more of people with vampiric tendencies. I've never. I'm guessing some of you have heard of some of the people that were on the list. I've never heard of any of them. But it's kind of interesting. Bernadette goes, can cannibals be considered vampires? Don't they drink blood as well? They do, actually. But when people talk about cannibalism, it's more of the eating part, I think, for me. For me, it is. But it could be. That's a good question. It could be considered that. They do, but I more think of the eating part of people than. Wendigo's Queen of the Dam was a good movie. It had a great soundtrack too, by the way. ER Blues goes, what about the Count on Sesame Street and Count Chocula? Oh my god, if they could make I think when I was doing my walk and talk, I was talking about someone mentioned Sesame Street, and I was like, they should do a horror film on the Sesame Street characters. But I'm assuming they're still under they're not out on public domain because I think someone would have already done it. Bernadette goes, so my cannibal, I eat meat. No, human meat. You eat humans. Fart stickers and baby turtlehead goes, read the Anne Rice series, way better than the movies. I have never read one of her books, so I'm gonna have to check it out. I've got another article. It's more for I think people that live in California and they're driving toward Vegas. There is, and I've seen this road, and the only reason why I remember this road because it has this weird name, and it's the ZZYZX road. Have any of you guys from California? I know I have a few people in California here in the chat, or anyone listening. Um, it's a road that you drive by on your way to Vegas from California. Honey goes, what is interesting is how different vampires are around the world. Very true. Very true. And then after that, we'll open it up for questions and answers. It kind of only goes, I think it only kind of pertains to people in California, but I wanted to talk about it. I know there's some people, I know some people listening are here in California. My phone is like beeping at me, and I'm like, what? Thank you, fart stinkers and maybe a turtle head for dropping by. I appreciate it. And your name changes. Wendy goes, how is the cell service on the road? It is like on and off when I'm driving from here to Vegas. But it is another article from All That's Interesting, and I found it kind of I've always been curious about this road. Lisa and Bernadette are so cool. They're like, nine. She's like, 9 more days, 9 more days. Just wait till you get to 7 days, Bernadette. Or D Nice. I'm getting mixed up because you got Bernadette in your name. D Nice. Just wait till 7 days and then you could go 7 days. It's funny. Somebody posted a meme of the eclipse and put 7 days, and I was just laughing. If you know, you know. So this is, if you've ever driven from this is kind of article, I think it more pertains to people in California that have driven to Las Vegas. If you have ever driven, or anyone listening, if you guys have ever driven from like Los Angeles area to Las Vegas, you've seen this road, and I have seen it. I've just never been down it. So, the story of ZZYZX, the eerie ghost town along a dead-end road in the middle of the California desert. ZZYZX, and it literally is a sign off the side, and I've seen it, was founded by a con artist in the 40s as a spa where he could peddle his quack remedies, and its history is even weirder than its name. 2 hours outside of Las Vegas in the middle of the Mojave Desert, just off of Interstate 15, sits a road with a rather peculiar name, ZZYZX. But perhaps even stranger than that name is the history behind the abandoned settlement the dead end road leads to. There, you'll find the eerie, crumbly ruins of the ZZYZX mineral springs, once known as Soda Springs. I have never driven by it, down that road. I've just driven by it. Throughout history, the site's natural spring water served as a stopping point for many Native Americans, Spanish explorers, miners, and railroad workers. Then, a huckster by the name of Curtis Howe Springer caught wind of the spring's alleged healing powers and saw the potential of yet another one of his get-rich-quick schemes. So this is a picture of, and it actually does still look like that. This is probably a more recent picture of it, but I have seen this and I've always wondered about it. In the 40s, Springer founded the ZZYZX Spa around the natural spring, choosing the name so that it would always appear last in any listing, and soon enough, he was peddling a number of the miracle cures using the spring's water. This is the story of Curtis Howe Springer and his oddly named road. NYLA 14 goes, all I know is Saratoga Spring in New York. Curtis Howe Springer, the king of quacks. Curtis Springer was no stranger to grifting. In fact, he told so many lies in his time that there are only a few things about his life that can actually be confirmed. He was born in Birmingham, Alabama in 1896, and he told a lot of lies. Beyond that, the truth of who Curtis Howe Springer really was is a bit muddy. For example, according to Atlas Obscura, Springer might have served during the First World War as a boxing instructor. He might have campaigned against alcohol for politician William Jennings Bryan. He might have worked at a school in Florida. He might have attended college in Chicago. At different points, Springer claimed to have done each of these, but there's no way of knowing if any were true. Even the degrees he claimed to own, which ranged from MD to PhD to ND, were seemingly cherry-picked to fit whatever situation he may have found himself in. In fact, some of the schools that he claimed to have earned the degrees from were made up, and one of them he quite literally named after himself, the Springer School of Humanism. Chris Barber goes, how does one pronounce that road? I always just do the XY. That's how I pronounce it, just spelling it out. By the mid 1930s, Springer had settled in Chicago, where, falsely claiming to be a doctor, he took to the radio and began spouting nonsense, trying to sell miracle cures. Needless to say, these treatments didn't work to cure anything. His theories were so off base that the first radio station he applied to reported him to the American Medical Association. And in 1936, they released a paper debunking a number of Springer's claims titled Nostrums and Quackery and Pseudo-Medicine. Later, in 1969, the group even referred to Springer as the King of Quacks. Springer eventually left the Windy City for the Still City, establishing an unfortunate, strong, and successful presence of Pittsburgh's airwaves. He touted miracle cures that could make anyone internally, externally, and externally clean. Whoa, try to say that over and over again. And eventually, he decided to capitalize on the success by opening a wellness retreat near a small oasis in the Mojave Desert. The birth of ZZYZX, the last world in health. Heather Whatever goes, the springs my husband worked at were owned by a very unusual character too. It was around a date shake place. Was it around Hadley's? I think it's called Hadley's. Heather Whatever. Dusty Lango sounds like a certain congressman. Springer filed a mining claim of 12,800 acres in the Mojave, meaning he didn't actually own any of the land at all, but was able to mine for anything he wanted and kept the proceeds. Of course, mining wasn't his end game here. He had his sights set on Soda Springs. Around the natural springs, Springer established ZZYZX, named so it would be the last word in health, and opened a cheap hotel to drop people in and sell them on any one of his 27 different miracle cures. True to form, Springer also falsely claimed that the natural springs at ZZYZX was a hot spring and secretly installed heating pumps to warm the water. Suddenly, this natural spring wasn't entirely natural anymore. But as a testament to Springler's ability to scam people, ZZYZX actually became a fairly popular destination. According to the Mojave Project, Springer advertised ZZYZX on his radio show, in newspapers, and in his newsletter, The Elucidator, drawing in crowds of people from all over the world. ZZYZX also had several buses and an 8-door Chevrolet utility vehicle that would shuttle guests to tourist destinations in Los Angeles. Heather, whatever I thought we drove to get there on the 395. This one's actually I want to say, is it the because you go on the 215 and then it continues to go to Vegas. So I want to say that's or the 15. It just depends on. No, it's the 15. My bad. 15. The demise of the ZZYZX Wellness Retreat. Springer successfully operated business as ZZYZX all the way up through the 1960s, but unfortunately for him, his hustle came to a abrupt end on April 11, 1974, when he was forcibly removed from the land by the Bureau of Land Management. Remember, Springer didn't actually own any of the land around Soda Springs. He just had the right to mine it, but he wasn't doing any mining, and the court also found that the mining claims he had filed didn't include anything about occupying or developing the land. In essence, Springer had just been squatting there for about 30 years. He was given just 36 hours to evacuate the land. What's more, the case spawned a litany of investigations into Springer, all seeking to expose him as a quack. But Springer wasn't quick to give up. Even after his eviction, he continued to fight for ZZYZX. He moved to Las Vegas and wrote frequently for the Baker Valley News, including a lengthy editorial piece titled The Legal R of ZZYZX, which appeared in the October 18th, 1984 edition of the paper. It was all in vain, though. Springer never got ZZYZX back, and for years it sat unused while officials debated its future. ZZYZX Mineral Springs today. Try to say that over and over again, too, as well. That's a tongue twister. As ZZYZX lay dormant, the Bureau of Land Management considered a few ideas for what to do with it, including bulldozing the site and restoring Soda Springs back to its natural state. In fact, it seemed as if they were just waiting for the go-ahead to tear the spa down. Bulldozers were already on site, prepped to demolish the complex at a moment's notice. Eventually, however, the agency struck a deal with California State University, CSU, and converted the ZZYZX compound into the university's Desert Studies Center, reopening ZZYZX Road. CSU Desert Studies Center is still in use today, providing a space for students and researchers to study the desert ecological and geology. But there are also still a few remnants of the site's ZZYZX days, including abandoned buildings, signage, and advertisements for some of Springer's old miracle cures, offering visitors a glimpse into the site's bizarre past. Wow, I had no clue what that road was. Lisa and Bernadette are so cool are saying that sounds like such a it is. The ZZXY. But I've always going toward Vegas. I've always seen that road and I'm like, that is a weird name for the road. Now I know the history behind it. Um, I guess it is as the article seen, it's used as a desert study building, but there are remnants of the Soda Springs, of the alleged Soda Springs there. So that'd be kind of cool to see if they let you go down there and look at it. All right, guys, I am going to open it up to questions and answers. Julissa goes, "Isn't that interesting?" It is. I've driven by that so many times and had no idea there was a significant to it. It is a weird name, so no matter if you're not paying attention or not, you'll see it and you'll be like, "What is that?" Birdie Dick goes, "I keep thinking you're gonna say ZZ Top." If I do drive by it, we're supposed to go to EDC next month, so I'll be definitely driving by it. I'll take a picture of the sign. Heather whatever goes, maybe there are multiple hot springs around Las Vegas. There might be. But that's crazy. I had no idea it had that type of history to it. It's kind of interesting actually. And how this guy was able to stay there for 30 years and not own the land is crazy. Chris Barber goes, "Everybody loves a sharp dressed man." That is just crazy. It is. Heather Whatever goes, "Weirdos in the desert." Yes. I mean, I guess he lived a life of lies. I'm not sure why he chose to do that, but he definitely got around. Lisa and Bernadette are so cool. Hopefully you won't cross paths with crazy peeps again. You're going by the strip or staying away. We're EDC, it's actually at the raceway, so we're passing the strip. So we're staying away. Santa May, what's up? You caught us toward the end, but that's okay. I'm glad you made it. Guys, feel free to ask any questions. But I saw that article and I was like, "What? There's a history?" But super cool. Chris Barber goes, "I've been to that racetrack before, Lisa." That's actually where they put the camp for EDC, and then EDC is I think EDC is part of that whole thing because I remember when we were camping, the drag strip was right behind us. And last year there were locusts like that big that were flying around. It was crazy. I thought they were cool though because I've never like human size. I want to say it seemed like they were almost human sized crickets or grasshoppers, not crickets, grasshoppers. They weren't though. They were like that big, but still, it was cool. To be honest with you, I don't mind them because it's not like if it was like a huge spider, menacing spider, then I'd be like, "Oh my god, no!" But those not. Bernadette goes, "Isn't that what took the Egyptians out? Locusts?" Maybe, I'm not sure. NYLA goes, "Holy smokes, that huge." Yes, they were big. Julissa goes, "Giant insects creep me out." Wendy's like, "No bug stories." I did not mind. Actually, did not mind them. They didn't bug me at all. I know people talk about them when they go, but it didn't bother me at all. NYLA goes, "Lisa, they don't fly." No, they did not fly in my mouth at all. They kind of stayed away from me. But the problem is, when I would go to the bathroom, I would find them in the sink. Julissa goes, "Yes, locust was one of the plagues, but they ruined the crops." Yes, the bugs didn't bug me, Bernadette. Dusty Lane goes, "Locust could be a blessing if you are lost and starving." I saw people trying to kill him, and I'm like, no, they're minding their own business. Leave them alone. Any questions, guys? They really didn't bother me, to be honest with you. I thought they were cool. Bernadette's never gonna let me down for talking about stripping ghosts or twerking ghosts. Bernadette goes, "Okay, serious question. When are we going to hunt some stripper ghosts?" I don't know. Maybe we'll end up in a haunted strip club or something from the 30s. They had strip clubs in the 30s that we investigate. And Wiley goes, "I'd never even eat another human like in the movie if we were stranded in the Arctic after crashing an airplane." I don't think I could do that either. I don't think I think I'm with you on that one, NYLD. I don't think I could do it. And if you're wondering why we're talking about twerking ghosts, check out the end. I want to say the last 30 minutes or so, 45 minutes of the live stream from last Saturday. Check it out here on Grayson Report, and you will know what we're talking about. Bernadette goes, "I think I could, but I need my hot sauce." Dusty Lane says, "Did you ever see Hilda Dago, a movie about a horse race across the North African desert? The locusts were a survival thing." No, I've heard of that movie, but I've never watched it. I've never seen that film, but that does sound interesting though. We were talking about, just to give a preview, we were talking about SLS cameras. And I brought in the twerking ghost. Bernadette goes, my uncle was in Vietnam and he said they used to survive eating grasshoppers and such. Even when he came back, he still ate them. What? That's crazy. I mean, I guess if he had to. I don't know if I could. Dusty goes, true story about the man who saved the painted ponies. Oh. Tyrana goes, great stream, thank you. Tyrana goes, great stream, thank you, Lisa. No problem, Tyrana. I'm glad you liked it. Keep the questions going, guys. I'll stay on for a few more minutes. Few more minutes. Any last minute questions, guys? Honey goes, twerking. Ghost, I ain't hating. Make your ghost money shaking your booty. Thank you, Zanime, for the rewatch party. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. I'm gonna end the stream here. Thank you for joining me about talks of vampires and all things spooky. I will see you guys on the next one, which will be Saturday. Oh, where's the duck? Thank you. D nice. Skeleduck. Hold on, let me see if I can get it this way. Skeleduck is right there. You can see his nose sticking out because you see, like, right there. That's a better thing. He is right there in the corner, and his nose is sticking out. All right, guys, I'm going to end the stream here. Thank you for joining me tonight. The next one will be Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Be there or be squared. Stay spooky and sweet nightmares, guys. Good night and thank you. You guys are awesome. Good night, guys.